Number 1 to Carolina. I'm going to go ahead and also...
Welcome to To Be Continued. We're your host. I'm Christian.
I'm Caleb.
And I'm Riley.
And for the first time in what seems a long time, we're finally back. And I know last time we said our next video was going to be baseball predictions, but tomorrow's the NFL draft. You know, the best time of the NFL offseason. So I think it's time we give our mock drafts. We're only going 1 through 10 because, let's be honest, if we did 1 through 32, we'd be here all night. So with that, Riley, we'll let you start off with Carolina's on the clock.
No, we're going number 1 to number 10.
You just go 1 through 10.
All right, number 1, and I've been talking. I've been saying C.J. Stroud's going to go first, but recently his test scores and his personality has come out and shown that he is not the best person, the best quarterback that you want to lead your team. So I'm going back to what everybody else is saying, and I'm saying Bryce Young is going first.
If Bryce Young was 6 foot, he would be first overall without a debate. Because have you seen the numbers versus everybody else?
Yes.
It's not even close. C.J. Stroud, though, I mean, the cognitive test isn't like everybody wants to say, oh my God, it's just another test. No. This one is for quarterbacks only. It tests your reaction, your vision, everything that a quarterback needs. And he got an 18%.
Yeah, it's terrible. So I don't see him going first. I mean, I was talking about it, and I said the Panthers really want him. Frank Reich really wanted him. He's a strong-arm quarterback, but now you can't have a strong-arm quarterback when you don't actually have the quarterback part. So, I mean, I say Bryce Young's going first because everybody else says he's going first. I mean, he's the best quarterback in this draft class other than his height.
That's true. And honestly, I don't think it's even close in the draft. I think it really goes Bryce Young, and then it's a little bit of a drop. And you can make the argument Hendon Hooker's too, but because he has that ACL, nobody will have him going off early.
I don't understand the love affair with Hendon Hooker. He reminds me a lot of the guy that he's closest to in age when he was drafted, in Brandon Weeden.
Oh.
Brandon Weeden, who was a high-ranking baseball prospect, actually in the Yankee system, and then he went back to football and was a great quarterback because he had a rocket arm, baseball player. But then when he got in the NFL, he went to where quarterbacks go to die, Cleveland. And he didn't do much. And I think kind of the same thing will probably happen with Hooker unless if he ends up in a situation like if he falls to a team like the Rams, or not necessarily the Rams, but like a team that has a starter, then I think he'll be all right. But if somebody tries to slide him right in, I mean, of course he's hurt, so he's not going to slide right in anyway. But I don't think he'll do well.
The rumor is he'll fall into Minnesota. The thing with Hooker is he's accurate, he's athletic when healthy. He kind of struggles to stay healthy. In college, he was always injured a little bit. And his main problem is he doesn't have any touch on any throws. He loves to throw ropes. Like, it could be an 80-yard bomb, has to be on a rope. He can't lob it. He has no touch. And in the NFL, you have to have touch. So that's his, major weakness, and it is a big weakness. But a lot of rookie quarterbacks have that problem. The problem is with Hooker, as you already alluded to, is the age. 25, a lot of teams would much rather have Richardson and Levis because they're younger.
I thought what was interesting is they were showing quarterbacks that were younger than him, which is first of all half the starters in the league. But also I noticed on that list, Trey Lance is still younger than people that were drafted last year. He is still super young.
That's why everybody's ready to hop off Trey Lance. I'm like, okay, let's be honest here. Is he been not what the Niners expected? Yes. Did the Niners give up way too much? Yes. But he's still very young. If he can develop, which he can still do, he can maybe be an average to maybe a slightly above average quarterback. And I think he gets moved on draft night. Anyway, Riley, you can now get to pick number 2. Should be the Texans.
Yep, Texans. I'm going with C.J. Stroud. I'm saying that they're throwing some stuff out there saying they're not going to draft a quarterback just to throw some people off. But I maybe see what kind of trades they can get looking at it. But I think overall, they go with the second best quarterback in this draft class, and they go C.J. Stroud because they want a strong arm quarterback who can throw the ball deep. But
the thing I will say with this, if they had an offensive minded head coach, I would absolutely agree with you and say they're probably going quarterback. But DeMeco Ryans, he's already said it a million times, and he stated it. He likes Davis Mills and I think what also hurts is he's had success with a quarterback who's a lot like Davis Mills. I don't know if you guys remember Matt Schaub. who led the Texans to their first playoff. Him and Davis Mills have a very similar game, and they're both cool, calm, and collected. And Davis Mills, everybody wants to say he's a bum, but if we really look back at his draft class, you could make an argument he's second or third best quarterback in that class.
You know what else he has in common with Matt Schaub? He's never going to win a Super Bowl.
I mean,
He's like, if you're the Texans and you don't come out of this draft with a quarterback, then there better have only been one good one, because they look ridiculous. Like if Stroud ends up being a stud, or Levis or Richardson or Hooker, any of them, and they come out of this saying like, "Oh, Davis Mills is our guy," then
That's why
They
I
look
think
bad.
that's why I think they're going quarterback. I think
Yeah.
D'Amico Ryans wants them to go with Will Anderson. He wants to have a solid defense, like a solid star on defense that they can build around. But I think that the GM, the owner, and everybody else agrees we should probably go quarterback.
But the other thing is, they're also looking at this. They're like, okay, let's give Davis Mills one more year, and if he sucks, the draft class for quarterbacks next year is 10 times better. And if they suck, Caleb Williams is right there.
yeah, but he's going to be a Ram, because the Rams are going to go 0-17. The Rams have decided like we're not even going to field a football team. They're like,
So
they're
is our-
not even interested in,
Is our
in
bet still
competing.
on? Is our bet still on? Are you ready to back out of that bet?
I mean, I'm not going to back out of it yet, because I think Carolina sucks.
Okay.
And I think Carolina's going to continue to suck. But
As long as this bet's still on till the end of the season, I'm good.
yeah, that's it's not looking good for me. I'll acknowledge.
Free Shady Maple sounds amazing right now.
Yeah, it's not looking good.
All right, Arizona.
Arizona, I mean, Arizona, they got their guy with Kyler Murray.
They
They're
need a
gonna
QB.
they're gonna stick with him. They're gonna stick with Kyler Murray. We
They
know
need
it.
new uniforms.
They got D Hop for another year, I think. They have Zach Ertz at the tight end. They have, I mean, the only thing that, other than what I'm about to say, the only thing I can see them going with is an offensive lineman. But I think that they're going to go with Will Anderson because they want to strengthen their defense. I mean, their defense, I mean, it's a mediocre defense, and they want to put a star in there who's going to grow and be what Gannon wants. So I think that they could do it. And take Will Anderson third.
Will Anderson, I don't know why everybody thinks there's this guy that Houston falls in love with, and if they take him too over Will Anderson, I'm going to be wow. Because when I watch Will Anderson, I don't know if you guys ever watched Myles Garrett in college, but it just pops.
I think
he
Will Anderson
comes through the screen. Like, it's amazing to watch.
I think Will Anderson is NFL ready straight out of college. I think that he's not going to. I think he may have one development year, but after that, he's going to be a star.
And the thing with the Cardinals is, they're kind of in the pit hole of the NFL. Like, everything that can go bad is going bad. Their uniforms suck. Let's just get that out the way. I feel bad for Cardinals fans. Okay, no, I don't. No.
Yeah, you chose that.
And then you have Kyler Murray and Zach Ertz are their only stars right now on the team, and they're both coming back from ACLs. Buda Baker wants out. Most of their stars want out. Why? Because they have some guy who comes in who thinks he's top shallot, and I can't believe I said he was going to be a decent head coach. Jonathan Gannon. You came in, introductory press conference, you came and meet a guy and you said, boom, boom, pow, pow, explosive. And the player looked at you like you had 5 heads, and everybody's like, oh, he has energy. No. He's going to have no job at the end of next year. Anyway, pick 4.
Pick 4.
Art, with Caleb, did you want to add anything on to?
No, I agree. They should take a quarterback. I'm saying it though.
Oh, I agree. I don't think Kyler Murray's as good
I
as some
think any
things.
of the 5 in this class are better than Kyler Murray.
Okay, let's not get ahead
I said
of
what I
ourselves.
said. I bet there's more than 5 in this class.
Hurry
better
up,
than
Caleb.
Kyler
Ryan.
Murray is not good at football. He should have kept playing baseball.
Right, move on to 4, man. Get
And number four is a little rocky. I didn't really know where to go with because this is the Colts we're talking about, and but they need a quarterback. We all know it. They need a quarterback. And I honestly did not go with Richardson. I went with Hendon Hooker, and I think they're going to take Hendon Hooker at 4 because this is the Colts we're talking about. And then Richardson has kind of fallen off the whole draft train. And then the only other options are Will Levis and Jarrett Stidham. So I mean, I think that they're going to take Hendon Hooker.
You mean Minshew?
Yeah, pretty much.
The only interesting thing about Richardson to me, I see a lot of similarities to Richardson as Trey Lance. Like, you're drafting this guy off of what you think he's going to become, not off of what he's done or like anything else. Like, you see, he might have the strongest arm in the class. He's probably the best athlete.
Oh,
he's the most-
He's the best athlete of the quarterbacks. He's got a rocket arm, and like he's everything that you could want a quarterback to be. And I think somebody is going to dream on that and take him higher than they should.
And the thing, you actually hit it right on the head when you said Trey Lance, because they both had no experience. I mean, only 13 starts. And the thing with everybody wants to go, he has potential. I thought we would have gotten over this after last year's draft, because the best class in the year last year was Brock Purdy. And what made him so special was he had experience.
How about the year before? We took, or the Jets took Zach Wilson. Was it the year before or the year before that?
Yeah,
anyway.
Zach Wilson and Trey Lance. Yeah,
Zach Wilson.
Yep.
Taken because he made that beautiful throw and no one was playing defense.
Yeah. Yeah, because
He's wearing shorts.
Throwing shorts
sleeves.
and a T-shirt's the same as throwing in pads. Yeah. Zach Wilson, how's your life now, buddy?
You're going to be all right.
All right.
A bunch of money
Riley,
to sit
just
behind
go
Aaron Rodgers.
through 5 through 10, and then we'll recap after that.
All right. So number 5, I got Anthony Richardson because
To the
he's
Seahawks.
Yeah,
to the Seahawks, because I think
Interesting.
Richardson. We've talked about it. I think Richardson needs to sit a year, and they're bringing Geno Smith back, and I think that him sitting behind Geno Smith would very much benefit him, and I think that Pete Carroll also sees that. So I think that he could definitely go to the Seahawks at number 5. Number 6, I got the Lions taking Jalen Carter because they need to strengthen that defensive line. It's very weak, and Jalen Carter being the best defensive lineman in this class, I think it's better that they go with him. Raiders, I got taken Devon Witherspoon, the cornerback out of Illinois, because the Raiders, I mean, they don't need a receiver. They got Devontae Adams. They don't need a running back. They got Josh Jacobs. They don't need a quarterback now. They got Garoppolo. So I think they could go towards the defense and take a cornerback because their defensive backs are kind of mediocre. I don't really see much talent in the defensive backs. Falcons, I got taken Peter Skoronski, the offensive tackle out of Northwestern.
Wow, that's your first one on the board. Okay.
But I think he's the highest rated. He's number 4 rated in the draft ratings right now. But I think he's going to the Falcons because the Falcons they need a lot. But I think the one place to start is probably an offensive line for that quarterback because I don't remember the last time they really had an offensive line.
Never.
I'm interested to see where he goes because you look at this top 10, Arizona could use a tackle.
Mm-hmm.
Seattle could kind of use a tackle. Detroit's pretty good in the line, but the Raiders could use a tackle. So, that's 3 of the top 7 that could use a tackle, and are they all going to pass up offensive line?
And here's the funny thing. Kyler Murray's gone to the GM in Arizona. He's like, I want an offensive line. He's done it the last 4 years. He's like, can we draft an offensive lineman in the first round? The Cardinals have not drafted an offensive lineman in the first round since Kurt Warner was their quarterback.
Yeah, that's why that's why I kind of passed up Cardinals. I just don't see that. I see them needing others. I see them wanting to focus more on that defense in this draft. Number 8, I got Quentin Johnson going to the Bears because the Bears just need receivers for Justin Fields. He needs help. But also at number 10, I got the
9?
Eagles.
You forgot 9.
No, 9 was the Bears.
Oh.
Yeah.
I thought you said 8. My bad.
No. And then number 10, I got the Eagles taking Tyree Wilson, the linebacker out of Texas Tech. And I think them taking him outside of that number 10 is crazy because he's ranked at, I think, number 13 right now. But they just lost Kazir White. They just lost their middle linebacker. They definitely need to take a linebacker here.
But Wilson's he's an edge rusher. He's not that middle linebacker.
Yeah, but so is Hassan Reddick. But I think that he could definitely he could play left outside linebacker, and then that would also strengthen that defensive line even more.
They got my boy N'Kobe Dean.
Yeah,
He'll be fine. They'll be all right. I could see that because what if Philly do last year at the deadline? They
When
picked
he
up
got
Robert Quinn.
who I told you wasn't going to be that
And,
good.
the Eagles just, whatever.
He got
They
hurt.
didn't use him properly. Yeah, he's a little
He's
injury
old.
prone. He's a little very old. And so they went out, they got edge rush help. And you also remember in the Super Bowl, remember when you said that, what was the ridiculous statement you made? That Reddick was better than, Nick Bosa or Joey Bosa or
Yeah, I said
It
he
was one
best
of those
defensive.
Boses.
he was the best defensive lineman in football or something stupid.
Okay, you know what?
And then, did he even play the Super Bowl? I don't remember.
I think the
even
field
showing
affected
up.
that. Can we all admit the field had a big player in this?
Nah, he just.
Sheesh.
Yeah,
They're-
but
they're
anyway,
playing on
I
ice
could
skates.
definitely see the Eagles taking that, and I think that would be a good pick for the Eagles. It's going to be tempting for them to take Robinson
Oh, very.
because there's this shiny new toy. Your team is set, but you could use a running back.
Now, have you heard
Here's the
rumor
best one.
with the Eagles right now?
They ain't getting Derrick Henry. That's
Well, have
not
you heard
real.
so
That's
what
fake
sounds
news?
like?
Fake news.
I hope you're right.
Put a Trump meme on here. Number 1 to Carolina. I'm gonna go ahead and also go with Bryce Young. I think it's the consensus for a reason. It's the right thing to do. He's had the best college career.
Oh, yeah.
He's a stud. There's no character issues.
Also,
That would be a good move.
I just don't see the Panthers passing up on all the hype. Like, this is one of the bigger hype trains for a quarterback, and I just don't see Carolina passing it up.
Yeah. Number 2, Texans. C.J. Stroud.
Oh my gosh.
You can talk about the tests. You can talk about whatever you want to talk about. He played against that Georgia defense, which is like an NFL football team. And he carved them up.
He also has the best receiving class.
He would have beaten Georgia probably by a lot if Marvin Harrison Jr. hadn't gotten hurt.
Oh, he comes on next year.
So I think that you can't let these off the field like tests and measurements or whatever take away from what you saw on the field.
Oh, I agree.
And in the biggest moment, he played his best football. So I have no concerns with him at all. I think he's going to be really good. And I also wouldn't like. I know you hate Ohio State quarterbacks, that's your big thing against Justin Fields. But again, Justin Fields has had no chance to succeed yet in Chicago. This year, he kind of loses that excuse. So we'll see what he does.
He's a great running back.
Well, he's had nobody to throw to, really. And
Okay, I'll give you that.
we saw that he started his career with the ghost of Allen Robinson.
Who's that?
Yeah, I don't know. He's disappeared.
Pittsburgh Steelers' new star receiver.
7th round draft pick worthy. Okay, number 3. I'm not going to deviate from Riley here. I'm going Will Anderson because I think if you're the Cardinals and your cupboard is as bare as it is, and their team stinks, like they're going to be picking the top 5 next year too. But if they get Will Anderson, they probably get the best player in this draft. And so it makes too much sense not to do it. So I think that's what's going to happen at number 3. Number 4, I think Jim Irsay is going to take Will Levis.
See, I agree.
I think it's going to happen because I think he's going to fall in love with the rocket arm. I think he loves the gym selfies, showing off the guns. I think he's about it, and honestly, I don't think he's a terrible fit there.
They have Shane Steichen, and
yeah, it would be nice to me. It would be nice if Gardner Minshew plays a year, or at least starts the season anyway, like maybe first 6 games or so.
I really want Minshew.
And then after they lose all 6 of those games, then you can put Will Levis in. But I think that's going to be the move there at 4. Now, I'm also not putting any trades in. Like, I would not be shocked if somebody traded up to 2 to take one of these guys because I don't think the Texans are sold. Like, I bet the Texans are thinking right now there's not a ton of difference between number 2 and number 4 or 5 in this quarterback class. So I think if they want one of these quarterbacks, they're going to be satisfied with any of those.
Well, the report has come out that the Vikings are willing to give up Kirk Cousins in order to get a top 5 pick. My thing would be, are any of these teams willing to give up their top 5 pick for Kirk Cousins?
The Texans, definitely.
Well, it depends what else. Like, if you're getting Kirk Cousins and, say, Minnesota's got 23 this year, you get Kirk Cousins, you get 23, you get maybe a second this year and another first after that, maybe even another one after that. I'd think hard about it, especially if you're like the Texans who have the 12 pick too. You can make some money down there with the 12 and 23 pick.
Hey, maybe the Rams trade up in the top 5. Give up.
I would never put anything past Les Snead. The only pick he does not have this year is his first, so he is armed with all kinds of picks.
It's true.
So he's got all of next year's picks to move. But that ain't happening. Number 5, because the Rams are not in the business of acquiring football players right now. Number 5, the Seahawks. I think they're going to take Jalen Carter because he is another guy that he's one of the best players in this class, and I think the Seahawks are going to dream on that potential. And they have got to remember where they made their money, and that was with their defense. Ever since the Legion of Boom has been gone, the Seahawks have been gone. And I think all it did was show you that Russell Wilson was a product of the Legion of Boom. That they have not done anything without the best defense in football and one of the best running backs in football in Marshawn Lynch.
Hey, let Russ cook.
Yeah, he cooked last year.
He did.
He even burnt the toast. Okay, number 6, to Detroit. So now's where things get a little squirrely because Detroit really is in the position where they can do whatever they want. And I saw this article on their general manager. what's his name, Holmes or something?
Yeah, Brad Holmes. He came from
Brad Holmes
LA.
came from L.A. And he said he doesn't even look at his team's depth chart during the draft because that's when you reach for players that you don't need to try to fill a need instead of just taking the best overall pick. And I think if you look at what Detroit has done over the last couple of years, they have drafted really well.
Yes, they have.
And so what I think that they're probably going to do is I think they are going to grab maybe I think they're going to take Wilson. The linebacker edge. Tyree Wilson out of Texas Tech. I could see them going corner there as well because they just gave away their other high-ranking corner, but they also signed some guys. I think they've kind of already remade that secondary, so I don't know that they're going to want to invest that top pick in there. So I could definitely see that being a move, or I think their line is pretty set. I think Wilson is probably the move there.
Oh, whatever they do, it's definitely going to be on the defensive side. They don't need offense because last year they were top 5 in almost every single offensive category. Their defense was the reason they didn't make the playoffs.
And they've already helped their defense with the additions they've made. So I think if you add a pass rusher opposite of what's the dude's name? Hutchinson, who I said was overrated. I still say that. It'll help you a lot, and it'll help Hutchinson a lot.
Oh, yeah.
So that was number 6. Number 7 to the Raiders, I'm going to say, is Peter Skoronski, the offensive tackle out of Northwestern. I think the Raiders' offensive line has been terrible, and it has really held them back. Their skill positions are set. I could see them going Anthony Richardson here.
I could too.
I could see it. I could see it because no one believes that Jimmy Garoppolo is going to play 17 games.
Has he ever?
No. I mean, that's why he's not a 49er, because the dude, all he does is win regular season games. So,
beat Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, and beat Aaron Rodgers in the playoffs. So, the dude, he can play, but he can't stay healthy. So I could see Richardson here, but I think it might be just as wise for them to really build up that offensive line, try and keep them on the field as long as they can. Then at number 8 to the Falcons. That's where I'm going to go with Gonzalez, corner out of Oregon.
I can see it.
I think that they've done a lot to rebuild their defense already.
And they got rid of their old contracts, which is genius.
Yeah, they've done a nice job, and they added They had Calais Campbell, which was kind of a weird one.
Jesse Byard from,
Bates from the Bengals to a big contract as a safety. And they've made some other moves in there, and I think that's it's going to work out well for them.
Mm-hmm. Their defense is going to be good. It's going to be up to their offense, and they have an offensive-minded head coach. So it needs to work.
Yeah. So number 9 to the Bears. Let's see. These top-ranked prospects are gone. I'm going to go with Witherspoon. Let him stay in state. Stay in Illinois. So that's who I would say at 9. And then number 10 to the Eagles, I'm going to say Anthony. No, just kidding.
We wouldn't be shocked.
We're not going to do that again. What I will say, I'm going to say Paris Johnson, offensive tackle at Ohio State. Because Lane Johnson
he's old.
1-2 years left tops.
Agreed.
Kelsey's on his way out.
And they're probably moving Jurgens.
Yeah, so, and the Eagles have done a nice job of staying one step ahead. So if you draft Johnson, he doesn't have to play right away. He can sit, he can develop, he can be behind Lane Johnson. And if Lane Johnson goes down, which he's missed time, you got your replacement right there.
Oh, and Paris Johnson's a good tackle. I love watching him. For his size, he moves very well. Like he's like what, 6'6", 380, and he moves phenomenal. You're like, whoa, what's this?
Yeah. But, and I'm also still not going to put out like it's possible they could go with
punter.
They could go with a punter. You never know. But they could go a lot of different ways. They could go with the safety out of Alabama, Branch. I think that's a little high to take a safety, but the Eagles did lose Gardner Johnson. Yeah. So it makes sense to take what is one of the best defensive backs in the class. And, of course, also the running backs. Like I could see Robinson, right? Robinson, Bijan. I could see him. Can even see Jahmyr Gibbs maybe. Like I could see the Eagles doing something like, what are they doing? And then, because that's what everybody said when they took Jalen Hurts, including me. Like I laughed out loud. I LOL'd. because they had Carson Wentz, and they had their MVP candidate. But that was ended up being a pretty good pick there.
Yeah, they also took Jalen Reagor.
Not a very good contract though, but
Actually, have you seen the breakdown?
We'll
the breakdown of the contract, like the numbers wise, at first glance you're like, "Whoa, that's a lot of money." Then you look at the cap hits every year, like, actually, that's not.
Yeah, because he got all that guaranteed, and that doesn't hit the cap.
Yeah, it'll hit the cap eventually.
It will eventually.
It
All
will
right.
eventually hit the fan.
Now, for me to go off a different place from you guys, Frank Wright, known him forever, seen everything he does, love the guy. He's taking Will Levis. Why? Frank Wright has always loved a tall, white guy who can run and has a cannon.
Why's he gotta be white?
Andrew
He can
Luck,
just be a tall guy.
Phillip Rivers. He's never worked. Jacoby Brissett, he didn't like.
The difference between Andrew Luck and Phillip Rivers is they
Carson
are
Wentz.
all-star
Hall of Fame caliber players.
quarterbacks.
He also loved Carson Wentz.
Well, they thought he was gonna be a Hall of
yeah,
Famer.
he was MVP candidate one year.
Well, when you look at Will Levis and you look at Wentz, they're very similar in what they can do.
How dare you insult Will Levis?
Both inaccurate, both very mobile coming out of college. And they didn't work with a lot in college. Will Levis, everybody wants to go back off of last year. He lost everybody last year. They all came to the NFL.
He played at Kentucky. Who cares?
He was great the year prior to that when he had talent around him. And I'm going to say, if there's any situation he can work in, it would be Carolina. However, I don't think Carolina should do it, but I'm just saying it's something Frank Wright probably will do, and it's probably going to happen. Number 2, Tyree Wilson. I can't believe it, but that sounds who D'Amico Ryans has fallen in love with. It's very much like Tavon Walker last year with the Jaguars. Nobody thought he was going 1. Everybody thought he'd be 7 or 8, and the Jaguars said, hey, we love his athleticism. He's number 1. And it's something that D'Amico Ryans has always loved. He's loved his hybrid players. Will Anderson, he's a very good edge player, but as you guys were already alluding to, Tyree Wilson is a very good hybrid. He can play 7 different positions on the football field. He can play. You could even put him at any linebacker, and you could put him all across the defensive front because of how big and strong he is. Number 3, Will Anderson. What else do we have to say? The Cardinals are more likely going defense with their first year under a defensive head coach. And the Cardinals have gone defense in 7 of the last 9 drafts in the first round. 4, the Colts are taking, I want to say I said Bryce Young. I did. Bryce Young. Why? Bryce Young's number 1. He's the number 1 best quarterback.
It's a dream scenario for the Colts.
Absolutely. And the thing with the Colts is any quarterback they get, that system will be revolved around them because they have Shane Steichen from the Eagles, and he will build a system that will be fit to Bryce Young's stature and his strengths.
The real question is, does Frank Reich want to keep his job or not? Is he going to take the best quarterback that we've seen in a draft for a good amount of time? I mean, he is head and shoulders over all of these quarterbacks, and there's not many quarterbacks that have been coming out of a draft as of recent that have just been like, other than Trevor Lawrence. Other than Trevor Lawrence, he's the only one.
Joe Burrow.
Joe
3 years
Burrow.
ago.
I mean,
Justin Herbert.
3 years ago, 4 years ago.
Jalen Hurts.
Justin Herbert wasn't
Mac
that sexy
Jones.
of a pick. And he also sucks. He's the worst
That's what I'm saying.
player.
I'm saying Trevor Lawrence and Joe Burrow are the only 2 quarterbacks that I would say had more hype and more, let's take him, he's got to go first.
Bryce
Young.
Young's the best quarterback to come out in 2 years. Last year's draft class was horrible.
Oh, yeah. But I'm just saying, like, if the Panthers, if Frank Reich advertises for let's take Will Levis, goes into the season and Will Levis is nothing of what he expected or wanted or fought for, then he's gone quick. So I'm saying if he wants to keep his job, take one of the shining star of this draft in the quarterback position and take Bryce Young.
I agree with you. The pick should be Young. I'm just saying I've watched Frank Wright for years. I know how he sees football, and I know what he likes. He's shown it over and over and over and over again. And usually, a horse doesn't change its tricks.
I like Young and I like Stroud. If they take either one of those guys at number 1, I think they're going to be.
I think
happy.
it's a fair pick. Yeah, I think it's a fair pick to take either one.
Now, Riley stole my pick at 5. Richardson's going to the Seahawks because not only do I think he needs a year, I'm going to say 2 years. And with Geno Smith there, he will have 2 years to develop. So Geno Smith, he just signed that extension. After 3 years, his contract's over. By the time that Richardson's getting into where he'd be ready to play, Geno Smith is ready to get out the door. So it's a smart fit pick for the Seahawks. And if Richardson shows earlier that, hey, I'm ready to play, they can go ahead and get rid of Geno. Somebody will take him. Geno's a very capable starting quarterback in this league.
Oh, he showed it.
He's not going to win you a Super Bowl, but he can win. He can get you to the playoffs. which everybody's like, I want a quarterback that can get me a Super Bowl. And in all honesty, there's only 4 or 5 guys that can do that
Matt Stafford,
when healthy.
Patrick Mahomes. Top
When
2
not
in the
healthy.
league.
Number 6, Detroit. I have Detroit taking Witherspoon out of Illinois. They traded Jeff Okudah, and the reason I believe is because they've seen this cornerback Witherspoon, and Witherspoon fits their scheme like a glove. And I think they're seeing the same thing, and they probably want a cornerback to come in and have help out their defense because they also lost the one corner to the Giants, who was their number 1. So they probably need some replacements there. 7, I have Vegas taking Paris Johnson. They need offensive line help very much. Last year, the reason they sucked was because that offensive line couldn't block a nosebleed. All right, 8. I have the Eagles trading up. They're going to trade with the Falcons to get to 8, and they're going to take Jalen Carter out of Georgia.
That's what I'm honestly really hoping that
see it.
Jalen Carter
Could see it.
falls this far for the Eagles to take. But I just don't think it's realistic that the Eagles get the chance to get Jalen Carter.
What's he in trouble for? Wasn't he like
Speeding, racing. He was
Yeah, he
racing.
was-
racing and his teammate died in the
Yeah.
race?
Yeah.
That's a red flag.
That's why he fell. That's why he's falling. If he didn't have that, he'd be number 2 or number 3. That's what happened there.
His grade, when I was looking at it, his draft grade is the top 3. It's above. It is literally only under Will Anderson and Bryce Young.
And with Jordan Davis and him reunited, I mean, the Eagles
Oh,
have
yeah.
the offensive line. It's like,
I don't mind him being at that point because I wouldn't take him top 5 because there's questions about like his motor, like about how motivated he is to be great. And to me that screams Jadeveon Clowney.
Yeah.
Who like had that one big play and then was all over the map because he just annihilated somebody, which was an awesome play. But then throughout his career he's just got like flashes of being really good. And then did he even play last year?
He was on the Browns. He's a great run stopper. But everybody, when he came in and you're picked number 1 as an edge, you're expected to be that dominant pass rusher. And he's never been a dominant pass rusher. He wasn't in college. And that highlight reel was on a run play. Everybody should have still saw that and be like, hey, this guy's a run stopper.
He was the Texans edge rusher for a while, wasn't he?
7 years.
He was there with J.J.
5.
Watt.
Yep, 5 years.
That's what I thought. And then he went to Seattle. Yeah,
No,
so
Tennessee, Seattle, then it went to Cleveland.
Yeah, so I mean, like he coming out of the draft, like we could see an edge rusher being fine, like maybe, but I guess we'll find out.
And then number 9, Chicago. You guys both had them going offensive line or defense or even a receiver. They're taking a running back. They've lost all their running backs. Bijan Robinson is what they need. And think about it. What has Justin Fields what did he have great in Ohio State? He had a great backfield. He was able to option it off or even throw the ball. Here, they got DJ Moore, so they don't need another receiver because they have Mooney, who's great when healthy, and Mooney's a great number 2. He's not a number 1. Komet, he has potential. Their offensive line, they've built it up through the free agency. Their team's looking very good through free agency, and their defense they built up in free agency. I just remember they had all those free agent signings.
Yeah.
But they don't have a running back. And Bijan Robinson, everybody wants to say he's the next Saquon Barkley. Calm down a little bit, guys. Everybody's like, he's the best prospect at running back. When Saquon came out, it was awesome. Number 10, Atlanta, C.J. Stroud.
You say C.J. Stroud falls to 10?
Yeah.
So
I
Atlanta's
could see
going to
it.
pick quarterbacks back-to-back years.
Yep. Desmond Ritter was a 3rd-round pick, and when you watched him last year, he was atrocious.
Yeah, but the team stunk.
Yeah.
They had Kyle Pitts.
The team stunk.
But I think I'm in the same boat as you with the Bears. I thought about that. I thought about Robinson for so long, and I was like, they might go with a receiver here to try and get some help in there. Like, I mean,
Now, the other thing I'll say with the Eagles, if they don't get Jalen Carter, something tells me they're going to trade down. They're going to trade. I don't think they'll stay at 10. I'll be shocked. If Carter falls at 10, they'll stay there. But the rumor is that if Carter continues to fall, they're going to try and jump Chicago because they know Chicago wants Jalen Carter.
yeah.
So, anything else? Anybody else wants to add?
I think I'm very excited for that. I think this is one of the more exciting drafts because of how much talent is coming out of this draft.
I love the draft every year. This is my time to just sit back and relax and watch 3 hours every night.
I haven't cared about the draft in a really long time because I've always just said that this is where fans of bad football teams get to enjoy football.
Yeah.
Because, like, the Rams didn't care about that. Like, if I'm trying to watch the Rams picks, I'm not watching until day 3.
I was getting ready to say, they don't have a lot of picks. They've already traded for players.
But it's like, hey, what do I
Initiative.
need to see these draft picks for when like we're already winning games on the field? But this year I'm looking forward to round 2. And I have to say that, like, if my picks are completely off, I had no analysis because I've only been looking in that round 2 range. Like, I'm thinking, what could the Rams get? Like, I'm not even looking at the top of this board because that's not coming down. Like, I could maybe one of those running back slips because nobody wants a running back. Maybe one of those receiver slips. Who knows? Both of them. I could see both of them going to L.A. L.A. is going to draft they're going to draft a skill player. Watch.
What I've heard is if Gibbs falls past 25, the rumor is the Rams are going to try and move up and get him because the rumor is Sean McVay sees a lot of Gurley in Jahmyr Gibbs, and I see the same thing. Gibbs, everybody wants to act as if it's Robinson at the top of the class and then it falls to Gibbs. In all honesty, it's Robinson, Gibbs, and you can interchange them because Robinson's a great running back, but Gibbs is more of the modern running back. He's a great runner, he has great vision, but his hands are tremendous, and he's a great route runner. And Robinson's an okay pass blocker, but he's nowhere close to as good of a pass blocker as Jahmyr Gibbs. Bryce Young should have gotten sacked at least 15 times more last year, but Gibbs pancakes some linebackers.
That's what I'm saying. I think this is one of the more talented draft classes that we've seen in a little bit. I mean, there's every position has a couple of stars coming out of there.
Not safety.
Not safety.
Not
but
safety.
They got one.
yeah, there's only really one within the top
And
20.
even then, it's wide receiver. You're not going to see a wide receiver.
Honestly, there's 2 or 3 wide receivers in here that people are looking at.
decent, but I'm saying they're not going to be picked till 20.
Also, want to get this out ahead. If John Michael Schwartz, the center from Minnesota, the one that's like the top ranked center, if he's on the board when the Rams pick,
Hey, it's take two
and
well.
those sons of guns don't take him, I'm going to lose my mind.
You don't like Bruce Allen?
I like Allen, but he's undersized. He's not strong enough, and he can never stay healthy. So if they go into this season again thinking that Allen is their guy, then they deserve the 0-17 season that they got coming.
Wait a minute. Wait. Who's the shortest player in the draft class who's fast? Let's see. That deserves who's the Rams going to take right there.
There is that corner that's super fat. That's like Forbes. That's like probably maybe the best corner in the class, but he's really small. I could see him as that.
There's that
I
wide
could see him
receiver.
at 2.
There's that wide receiver. He's what 5'10" or 5. Like he's under 6 foot and he's like really small and he's like an amazing wide receiver, but he gets thrown off the route so easily.
Also, let me go ahead
I
and
don't
put
see him
this out
taking
there.
a small guy.
Tutu Atwell is going to have a breakout season next year.
Amen. Let's get it out there.
We've been saying it for 3
Preach
years.
it. Preach it. This is the year.
This is the year.
it be known.
He started breaking off at the end of last year.
He did, and he didn't even have a quarterback then. Well, he did. He had Baker Mayfield.
Scrubfield. Anyway, thank you for watching this episode of To Be Continued. Please like and subscribe, and until next time.
To be continued.